Hello, this is Onioncreature Update. I'm Owen Carlson, and today we bring you breaking news about ARMS inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. There was a Nintendo Direct posted early this morning. It was a mini Direct. People have been anticipating the Direct that usually happens at the beginning of the year for several months. One didn't come in January, didn't get one in February, and now it's March, and we got one. It's a mini Direct. Yeah! I think a lot of people are probably going to be reasonably disappointed in this Direct. I think there was only one new game announcement from Nintendo. Other than that, we just got some third-party stuff and one or two release dates, which is cool. It's cool to see the Xenoblade release date confirmed, but it isn't the most exciting, and we don't really know about any Nintendo releases after the month of June for this year, which is disappointing. The Direct also started out with a disclaimer that the COVID-19 virus that is currently engulfing the world is probably going to result in some delays in some of the games. So that's disappointing, but also totally understandable given the current situation in the world. But I think for many, myself included, the most exciting and noteworthy announcement was that ARMS was getting a character in Smash Bros. Ultimate. Finally! So I've long wished for an ARMS representative in Smash Bros. I made a video about it like 2 years ago or something like that. I think this series is a great fit for Smash. It would be a great way to advertise it, and it seems Nintendo has finally decided to agree. I think that during the development of the main game, ARMS hadn't been released yet, so the timing didn't line up. I mean, they could have done it for Pack 1, but I guess they decided to do Byleth instead for whatever reason. That was cool. And it seems Nintendo is really pushing ARMS at the moment because we have like a tournament where you can win like gold points through the eShop, and they're like releasing the full game for free for a couple days. So if you haven't played it, definitely check that out, because I really like ARMS. I think it's an excellent game. I think it's fairly underrated and deserving of more attention, which Nintendo seems to be providing it, which is awesome. But the most interesting thing about this character announcement is that it wasn't actually a character announcement. It could be one of like 15 different characters. That's pretty new. Haven't had something like that before. So the natural thing for the internet peoples to do is to discuss which one it might be, which one is the most viable. And that's what I'm here to do as well. Why not? Our first candidate is Springman. I think there's a lot of things going for Springman, but also like an equal amount of things going against Springman. So first of all, he's pretty clearly the mascot of the series. He's like the main guy that's on the box art and in most of the promotional material. That's a pretty big factor. The issue is this guy has an assist trophy in the game. That's quite the conundrum. I'd say that's a pretty large factor working against Springman. Also, another thing is that they announced that they would be adding an ARMS character, and I feel like they would have just announced Springman if it was going to be Springman, because that's like the most obvious character. So I feel like by announcing that it's going to be a character from ARMS, that might imply that it's not going to be Springman and might be one of the other cast members, which would be something totally new for Smash Bros. If it wasn't Springman, because we haven't ever gotten a character from a series that wasn't that series' mascot or largest character as the first character included in Smash Bros. So that would be pretty different. I'm going to say Springman is on the less viable side, just in large part because of the assist trophy. However, I would still really like to see Springman, since he's the main mascot of the series, and he's going to be the star of the upcoming graphic novel and a lot of other stuff. And it's also interesting because if he was added, that would open the floodgates like massively to characters who are assist trophies like Waluigi, Isaac, Shadow, Shovel Knight. Any of those could come in as well, but I don't think that's going to happen. It would be pretty cool if it did, but it's probably going to be another one of the characters just based on how they announced it and the fact that Springman is already in the game. Okay, our next character is Ribbon Girl. This is actually one of the more likely candidates, I think. She's like the secondary mascot of the series. She's one of the simpler characters, comparatively speaking. So this is a pretty viable choice, I think. Our next character up is Ninjara, who is another reasonably viable candidate. This character is really popular. Not the most popular, certainly, but up there. Next we have Master Mummy. I'm going to say this guy is like one of the lowest. I'm putting him low in terms of viability. I don't think that this character is going to be in it. Next up we have Min Min, who is, I'd say, the front runner at this point. In large part because Min Min was the victor of the character bracket in ARMS, which was sort of like a Splatfest popularity contest type thing. And Min Min came out victorious. You know, it's pretty clear that Min Min is like one of the most popular characters. So I think that's a very viable candidate for this fighter selection. I think if I had to bet money at this point, probably go on Min Min, I'd say. Next we have Mechanica. This is one I put pretty low on the viability scale as well. Does not seem super likely. Next we have Twintel. Twintel seems to be reasonably popular. Doesn't have anything specific working for or against her, so I'd say not as viable as Min Min, but pretty viable. Next we have Bite and Bark. I think it would be hilarious if Bite and Bark was a character. I'm gonna put it pretty low viability, not the lowest. This is definitely not gonna be the pick, I don't think. The next character to be discussed is Kid Cobra. I'd say Kid Cobra is probably around the same tier as like Ninjara. Not the most popular or requested, but not the least, I guess. So somewhere in the middle there. And here we have the big one, Helix, the best character in ARMS. Helix is my main. I really love wacky characters, and Helix embodies that quite well. One of my favorite character designs in ARMS and all the video games. So I'm a little biased towards Helix, but I do think he does have a slightly higher viability than some of the other characters, like Master Mummy. I'd love to see this. Probably not going to happen, but there's a chance, I guess. And now we have Max Brass, who is one of the major bosses of ARMS, and I think because of that, he's slightly more viable than some of the other characters. And now we have Lola Pop, who I don't think is the most likely character, definitely one of the lower tiered in terms of viability. Misango is in a similar boat to like Lola Pop, I guess. Not super likely, I don't think. I don't think Springtron is very likely. I think the only way that Springtron would make it into the game is as a costume for Springman, if Springman made it. But other than that, I don't really think there's much of a chance for this character specifically to make it in. Our last character, Dr. Coil. About the Max Brass tier, I'd say, since she's a villain, so kind of unique in that. I think sort of the main villain of ARMS. Cool, so that's all the characters. I think we have a pretty established front runner and some other characters which are also pretty viable, and then there's the rest of the cast. I think it would be really cool if they had multiple characters in one character slot, like they've done with Bowser Jr. and some other guys. Another character I thought up is Biff, who's sort of like he's like the announcer and referee or something. I don't know what they would do with the moveset. Maybe they could incorporate multiple different arms into Biff's moveset. That would be a pretty cool way of representing the game itself and all the different characters. I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be pretty cool. This is definitely my favorite DLC pick so far, other than like Banjo-Kazooie. I really love ARMS, and I'm really glad that it's getting included. And this also opens the door to Spirit characters making it in the game. I made a video a couple months ago about how in the first Fighters Pass, Spirits were deconfirmed, and you know, there was a lot of talk online that Spirits didn't actually matter. Turns out they did, but for the first Fighters Pass, and it seems like the second one, they won't matter nearly as much, since I think pretty much every ARMS character has a spirit in the game. And also, in terms of spirit characters, you know, this could lead to, like, Rex and Pyra being playable, or, God forbid, Bandana Waddle Dee. Probably not going to happen, but it's at least possible now, so that's great. And I also really hope that this leads to the release of the ARMS graphic novel, which was announced, like, in 2018, and was supposed to release in 2018, but has been delayed, like, indefinitely, so I really hope we get to see that one day. It looked really cool. Wasn't a standout direct, I'd say, but we did get this announcement, which is fantastic. Really excited. Lots of possibilities, and it'll be really interesting to see what they do. I think it is really weird that they announced it this way. I really have no idea why. I think it is cool because it has the byproduct of inciting discussion online, which is kind of nice. Kind of nice to like discuss which characters people want and which ones they think are more viable and all that. That's nice. And it gets the bitter taste of the Byleth announcement out of my mouth because I really, really despised seeing that character announced. But that's just me. Yeah, not much more to say. I think I've covered the possibilities. And so concludes this edition of Onioncreature Update.